Welcome, welcome, beautiful sisters. Welcome to the space of our feminine journeying together, of our feminine sacred initiation. And today we make a very important step into our feminine unfoldment as we activate the inner virgin and the wild woman. Following the next days, we're going to, come full circle in meeting the mature feminine aspects, archetypes within. And this is such a profoundly empowering journey because it creates an expansion in our inner universe, and then it unfolds as an expansion into our life. Because the moment we have a breakthrough, mentally speaking, about what can become possible in our blossoming as women, we have power because we stop waiting for something outside of us to change in order for us to have access to different results. We actually receive an inspiring inner path to walk on and cultivate and embrace and deeply follow through as a way for us to meet our intentions, as a way for us to raise our inner frequency so that we are a match with the frequency of the future intentions until they become the present intentions and they manifest and turn into our reality. This is the ancient way of manifesting by cultivating the feminine energy. And it has been, an ancient knowledge that was transmitted through oral, in an oral way from generations to generations. And we are reclaiming that knowledge. We are stepping into that power because as women, we do have the power to create our own reality. And we do have the power to step into our abundance. And the mature archetypes really create a blueprint of how we're going to do that. They inform our visions of what becomes possible. They start giving us answers about what are the actual steps we have to take, not only in order to grow, but to allow change to emerge in our life. They're giving us an internal book of virtues and values that if we align with and start, cultivating every day, we then start raising our frequency, and achieving and allowing deeper, higher notes of light and love, divine love, to emerge through us as a channel and into our life. What has been unfolding for you after meeting the inner adolescent? How have you been feeling all day? Our inner adolescent, as I said, is very important because she's the seed of our true mission in life. In a way, she's the seed of all the things that really matter to us because they express our unique energy, right? And the moment we start welcoming her, creating room for her just the way she is and just the way she's not, respecting her energy and her space, she requires that level of, autonomy and respect, but also see her both in her strength and her power, but also in her frailness, and show up as a guide, as a friend, as a parent to her. Then we actually create more space for the woman within who's already there, but sometimes needs a boost and be activated completely to emerge in our life. By connecting with our inner adolescent, we actualize the power of the woman within. We give her access, we give access to the woman within to emerge in our personality and in our life and take charge of the direction where we want to go. And then meeting the mature feminine archetypes, the inner virgin, the wild woman today, the queen mother, and the wise woman tomorrow, are bringing actually 4 important virtues together as an alchemical potent medicine that, when applied, can give us access 360 degrees to everything that we want to accomplish. When we bring unconditional love, fearlessness, healing and compassion, deep passion and pleasure and zest for life, and deep awareness of this physical incarnation and the wilderness that stems from that, and we add wisdom to all of these ingredients, that creates a very potent way to be in life. It creates a potent way for us to show up and respond creatively rather than react. And it allows us to, have a place inside of our heart in the sacred circle where we can withdraw and do our lessons, sit with our limitations, cultivate and nourish the beauty within, take that necessary time until we actually, are ready to grow inside of that magnificence or that bigness or that self-expression that needs to emerge. It's a very beautiful, sacred, and ancient way of evolution, of evolving through deep pleasure. So my journey is about reclaiming her innocence and loving her into her sacred sexuality. What an amazing link to the woman within and the awareness of what has been holding me back from my power and wisdom, which were my intentions in this class. Absolutely amazing. That's deep, Farida. That's so, so deep. Thank you so much for that sharing. It's really beautiful. Wow. I felt the need to clean up and organize the house and clean my relationships with the people around me. Isn't that empowering, right, Nicoletta? We love you unconditionally as well, Mariana. So keep pouring in what has been unfolding, what has been emerging through the space of meeting your inner adolescent. And how is meeting your inner adolescent making room to the blossoming of the mature woman, of the woman? I don't know, sometimes mature means old, but literally the woman, the full-blown woman. And before we actually move forward, I want to say hi and activate our beautiful connection ritual, because I started talking and I forgot about the ritual. Kisses to all the women across the world. So beautiful. So, so beautiful. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Beautiful. We're so beautiful. Thank you. What are the gifts of the inner virgin and the wild woman? Well, basically, this is taking everything to the next level in terms of power, in terms of frequency, in terms of pureness and lightness of being, in terms of being spiritual and embodied. Because the inner virgin is the seat of purity with braveness. So as the inner adolescent is healing and making room and becoming comfortable in our heart, what emerges is a bridge to the inner virgin. And that bridge is everything that the adolescent is in her essence, undisturbed, unfiltered, unwounded. But to that, we add power. Power that is coming from the ability to face challenges with no resignation and compromise and no fear. Not that we don't have fear, but we've moved beyond fear through fear in bravelessness, yes, in fearlessness. So the inner virgin, when we cultivate her, brings a very unique sense of pureness and fearlessness. And one of her main gifts is attunement to the subtle worlds. It's attunement to pure energy. It's attunement to living things. It's attunement to the higher dimensions. You know, if you come to see for example, in the Greek mythology, it's like the Virgin is this very pure, very sacred being that shouldn't be seen by the normal people because she's living in between worlds, a little bit just like the adolescent, but stronger. She can come in the human world, she can go into the spirit world. She's the bridger between these two dimensions. And the practice for us to engage with this spiritual power is compassion. What is compassion? Is meeting and seeing the pain and attuning to the pain as a way for us to understand life rather than avoid or walk away from the pain, right? Which is what we do when we don't have enough power to sit with what's troubling us, right? So in that capacity, in bringing love to pain rather than avoidance to pain, we grow stronger and more wiser and more powerful. So we become fearless because we have walked the path of regaining our purity and facing the darkness. We have sit with that darkness, breathe with it consciously, and haven't backed away until we could cleanse it through crying, right? What does the wild woman represent? It represents walking with Shakti, right? For example, in the Hindu tradition, the goddesses that embody true, amazing, free sexuality are called Kali and Durga. And they're really consciousness aspects of the divine feminine. They're goddesses, right? In the Hindu tradition, they work a lot with gods and goddesses. They're aspects of the divine feminine consciousness, which represent wildness, right? Durga is on a white goddess on a white tiger, and she's very comfortable in that power, raw power and wilderness, while Kali is represented as a blue goddess with the head of a man in her cut off and dripping with blood in one of her hands and the sword of truth in another. And she wears a necklace of dead skulls around her head. But what those symbols represent, it represents the end of false ideals. It represents the end and the death of patriarchal systems that have limited us. It represents stepping into the truth of what's real in the moment and enjoying that and being in love, inside love, right? As the frequency where you want to live, and living in the present rather than in the mind, in old concepts that don't carry through and don't allow us to emerge as joyful, right? So she has that power to cut through the bullshit and step into, right, into that power in the feminine embodiment process. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it today and even more tomorrow. So prepare, buckle up. Yes. We work with Kali and Durga to purge the old, the dead in us, the things that don't no longer, we no longer need, so that we can birth in our true self. We let go of detachments, codependency, grief, greed, whatever are those very stuck, very heavy emotions and patterns that through life's challenges and wounds, we have, built up and absorbed inside and got stuck with it. So we're purging, right? Kali is also black. And yes, there's a new moon today. So this is like, this is one of those magical synchronicities that for me is happening across years now, where when you actually get in tune deeply with your inner rhythms and your womb and your heart, and Shakti is flowing freely with you, you manage to create a deep alignment with the astrological windows of the feminine. Without checking my calendar, most of the times, manage to have live challenges or classes or seminars during new moon and full moon, right? And it's just natural because my body goes there. it knows the portals, right? So my body will tell me it's time to meditate when we have a new moon and full moon, right? We feel the urge, we feel the tides of the moon, through also the connection with the water and the earth. We feel the calling of the feminine, right? And we use that portal as a way for us to manifest deeper, get ourselves absorbed in the moonlight, right? With all that beautiful feminine mystery and magic. And it's really, really, really potent. And it's a testimony of how, being in sync with your feminine energy, right, looks like in your day-to-day life. You're just like, hop on, right? The moon says, sister, let's do the work. So it's really, really powerful. So the wild woman will anchor the truth in our body, right? It will allow us to become confident, sexual, magnetic, able to receive abundance, sit with that abundance, look people in the eye and know the bullshit. Come into a room and understand what's the truth beneath what's being said and lived there. We're not going to be deceived very easily after we step into the wild woman, because we have an internal gut feeling that tells us what's truth and what's the lie here, right? So this is a very important attunement to our higher self, the truth, and stepping into a path that becomes very easy and simple. Not necessarily simple, not necessarily easy, right? Because sometimes being the holder of the truth or aligning to your truth can be difficult, in the sense that it can bring challenges to, choices, and, it can be challenging, but it's simple. And you're supported by the divine because you are in alignment. Yes, your alignment with your spirit, and you're walking with your spirit, through your spirit, embodying your spirit. And that's just, the universe hears that. The universe will have your back. It will move mountains to, support you. Just like in the fairy tales where, you have all of the sudden all these magical beings coming to your rescue so that you can, become the hero of the journey, right? Why? Because you are tuned. And that's both, both the wild woman and the inner virgin have that attunement in different ways. The inner virgin is very attuned to nature, and she's very pure in her wilderness. They're both wild, and they're both attuned to, the physical, but also the life force energy that's moving through the physical. The inner virgin is more in the heart, wherein the wild woman is more in the belly, right? The inner virgin is the first emerging archetype in our journey, and she's still young. She's the first woman, yes, that's rising. Sometimes the wild woman is the second, sometimes the mother is the second, but then the wild woman comes immediately after, and then they both merge into the queen, right? It all depends how we decide to make biological children in this lifetime, basically, because that's where that kicks in. So, we are stepping into our wilderness. We're reclaiming Shakti within the body, and we're saying, your fire, I'm not afraid of it. I welcome it. I sit with that level of pleasure. I take that intensity in. I attune myself to your inner rhythms, and I surrender to that grace. I step into that power, and I become that power. And slowly and surely, the virgin, through practicing compassion, right, which is adding meditation to love, is going to allow us not only to integrate and embody in the physical body, but grow years in the unseen. Yes, the maiden. Grow eyes in the subtle worlds. Grow taste and smell and touch in the outer dimensions, right? So what the inner virgin's gift is to see the unseen, to feel the unseen, and work with the energies in the unseen and channel that. There's a beautiful story about the inner virgin archetype. It's me. Beautiful. Yes. Some of you, as we are, progressing through the archetypes, the more we're going to meet them, you're just like, oh, I'm the wild woman. Oh, I'm the inner virgin. Oh, I'm the wise woman. Oh, I'm the queen mother, because it's natural for us to live within an archetype. The beauty of the feminine embodiment process is that we're going to receive the nourishment, the gift, and the blessing of all of them together, right? So even if we end up, still being a virgin in terms of that's my main trait as a woman, my main quality, my main divine gift, I have the power of the wild in me, of the wild woman in me. I have the power of the queen mother, and I can channel wisdom, right? It's just so amazing to be nourished by this wise beingnesses inside of us, right? And that's what we are doing. So the man, woman, and I'm the wild woman. That's so funny. It's true, right? We're stepping away from manliness and more into womanliness. So beautiful. So the inner virgin is attuning us to the spirit world, right? And there's a beautiful story and a beautiful legend of a very pristine maiden whose gifts were very connected to nature. She knew how to, mix herbs and create potent medicine out of it. She would be a healer for an entire region. And that's what the legend says. All the people around many villages would come to her hut, she was living isolated in the middle of the forest with, the wildness of earth, of mother nature, and all the amazing animals that live in it. Yes. And everybody would just travel to her for medicine of the heart or of the body, right? And she would just tune into their disease and help them. She would be with their pain, sit with their pain, and bring compassion to the process, and also give them the medicine, right? So she was very known across the land for her beautiful divine healing gifts. And she was young and pure and a virgin. And, she spent all her life in service of people, loving them, healing them, taking care of them, tending to their wounds. And one night, she had a dream that a beautiful, intimate love story will, like love connection will show up into her life. And she saw a blooded, wounded warrior that's going to meet her very soon. Across the land did live a warrior who was so wounded by all the wars he acted on, by all the lives he took, by all the life he saw killed, that he grew distant and distant and distant away from his soul, up to the point where he lived like a physical body with no soul. And he was, drinking and disconnected completely from his body, from his mind, from his soul, drifting away, wanting to be dead, but, still alive, what to do? And, he was so resigned and fed up and dead within, right? And out of a divine alignment, probably because his soul was searching for a way out, for a healing process, for a magical miracle, his feet took him unconsciously to this beautiful hut where this beautiful, pristine maiden lived. And he, walked into her forest. She sensed him right away. Also, she dreamt of him. And, he arrived at this very enchanted little space where his virgin lived. And she was calm and quiet, not shy, but very quiet. She looked at him, he looked at her, and she immediately knew in her heart this was the man she dreamt about. So she invited him to take a seat at the open table in front of her hut, and she went into the house and brought him food. He was mesmerized, totally attracted unconsciously and without thinking of this space and her. She sat to her table and in deep calmness and deep silence started, eating her food, connecting to her healing space, drawing, all of the sudden warmth from just being around her and around her house. So they grew a bond without talking immediately. An intangible, sacred vow between them emerged, where it was definitely that, divine calling was between them, approaching them, supporting them to meet one another. Not necessarily, it didn't felt like romance, but it felt like this encounter had to happen. So he actually stayed over. She invited him to live with her for a while. And they each one took their own place within the house. He started taking care of the house, cutting the wood. She, day after day started feeding him, tending to his wounds with different herbs and oils. And, they grew more intimate and more attuned to one another. It was a beautiful harmony between the two of them, and it didn't require words or expectations. They were in the present, and he felt that there was, for a moment, something safe in his life, something where he didn't have to run away or protect himself from, or become somebody or something, force an outcome, be a warrior. So his heart started to be more relaxed, to unwind. They would normally sit by the fire in deep silence before going to bed and just look at the fire together. Between them grew a friendship day by day that allowed them to feel more at home with one another. And days went by and nights came by, and their safety with one another was more deeper and deeper, until one night, when sitting by the fire, this beautiful virgin started channeling all the pain of the warrior, all the pain that he saw, all the life that he killed, all the consequences of that on his soul's imprint. And she started getting more attuned to that pain and started being with that pain. There's a deep, very important moment when something very sacred emerged in that space, in that moment. The pain he was carrying, she started taking notice of. And in that moment, she started channeling through rivers of tears all the cries that warrior couldn't cry, didn't allow himself to cry. All the regrets, all the anger, all the fear, everything that was ugly in his life. She cried and cried and cried and cried. And the more she cried, the more his heart was healing, was relieved by all that heaviness and all that pain and all that grief. They went into this magical portal where, this transmission happened between their souls and the divine. And as all the tears were released, they fell asleep close to the fire. Later on, they woke up, and it was like this whole fog lifted from his mind, from his body, and from his soul. He, for the first time after that night, started feeling himself again. It was a very sacred bond, and they met for this amazing, magical healing moment that they co-created together with the divine. That was part of their story, and that was part of the reason why they had to happen. Very soon after that, he left, and it created such an amazing bond between the two of them, but also the opportunity for both of them to understand the power of compassion in one's life. That's the gift of the inner virgin. And the moment we learn to be with compassion, cultivate compassion, channel compassion in our life, that's the moment when we start to hear our soul and start to connect with the soul of others. That's the moment when we have true access to that's the moment when we have access to the truth, and through the truth, because the truth will set you free, we can create a space for a deep magical healing to occur, being blessed by the divine. So this is something we need to grow stronger with and more empowered, because it's something that is part of our divine gift as women. And it's not something we have to use every day, because that would not make it pure and sacred, but it's something that we have to grow deeply powerful with, right? So that when we're actually in a sacred place and space, we can create the foundation, we can prepare the space for the divine healing to occur and miracles to happen on a soul level. These are the powers of the inner virgin and the wild woman. And as we activate them today, you are going to start engaging with their virtues and their frequencies, right? Because each one of them will bring an attunement to higher vibrations in your life. And it's really, aligning to those frequencies and those virtues and creating rituals, right, that empower us. Is how we're going to take a full advantage of these amazing, miraculous, mature feminine archetypes and embody them in our life and bring blessings to our life because of that cultivation. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you and talk to you about the full depth of the feminine embodiment process. What we've seen to this journey for the last 7 days has been just the tip of the iceberg of what's available in working with the mature feminine archetypes and what's available inside a deep, grounded 360 degrees rite of passage. And tomorrow I have prepared a beautiful surprise for you. And I'm going to walk you through the 9 months initiation that I've prepared a couple of years ago. And I've, created it and led it and facilitated for many, many retreats. And now I'm very proud to say I've created that environment where we can do it online in the same depth and intimacy and, fully basking in the mystery of the divine feminine. And this 9-month initiation, which is a very profound workshop of working with the divine feminine, is really a portal of rebirth for women. It's that moment in time and place and space where you can say, today I enter a new chapter of my life. Today I devote myself to my feminine powers and I walk by them and through them, and I give myself the freedom, the space, the joy, the generosity, the love to explore and express myself in all dimensions, at the height of what's possible to be lived here in a woman's body, in a woman's soul. So we're going to explore more and officially open the doors to this rite of passage in the mature feminine program tomorrow. And I know some of you have already asked about it and were, excited about us opening the doors to it yet again. And you can definitely check it out until tomorrow and come ready to ask me absolutely anything. I'll ask my colleagues to put the link of the program in the chat. We're not going to spend time today talking about it, but we'll definitely spend time tomorrow to addressing it. But literally, there's so much to do and so many rituals and practices with which we can learn to cleanse the body and prepare the body for attuning to these higher frequencies and be blessed by them. And now we can definitely prepare ourselves for meeting the inner virgin and the wild woman. So let's begin. Taking a deep, 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 deep breath. Hugging ourselves, visualizing sitting in the circle, holding hands close to the fire. Caressing our body. Taking a deep in breath. Taking another deep inhale. And another one. Hold the breath and visualize a little golden star in the middle of the forehead. This golden star becomes brighter and brighter and brighter. And it's like everything that we are sits here in front, in the middle of the forehead. All our energy compressed in a little golden star. And we're taking a deep inhale. And on the exhale, we drop into this beautiful, warm, translucid water. It's a beautiful lake with green emerald crystals on the bottom of it, creating hues of healing energy and emerald green colors all around us. It's like we're floating in a womb, feeling deeply, deeply immersed in this space. The water has a little bit of weight. It has like a, warm texture, and it touches our skin in a way that feels protective, and it's floating, cradling our body. And with each inhale and exhale, the body becomes more relaxed, but also feels more safe. we stand up and we move on a road that gets created before our own feet. We're close to dusk and close to the sunset, and include all the joyful noise of children in the space, allowing the sunset to emerge and all these beautiful pink, purple, orange hues of the sun setting beyond the tapestry of the sky. And we're leaving the sunset behind, moving on this road, being blessed by the sun from behind into this beautiful opening of a golden field all around us and a road in the middle of the field. All the hues are golden, ripe, and we're moving towards a beautiful open green forest, coming close in front of the forest to a little river with a fresh water, going over a bridge and over the river into this beautiful green forest. We enter this forest, the air becomes fresher, the trees are tall, and all of a sudden we feel a deeper attunement, a deeper sensing of the energy of the earth, of nature, of the life force moving through all things. The leaves, the trees, the earth, the sky. There's a great connection between all living things, and we are part of it. And we're going deeper and deeper into this forest. And with each step we take, we allow our senses to awaken. Each sense awakens, and we feel more aliveness throughout our body and more in tune with the life force energy in the body. We start feeling it moving in deep fluidity. And we actually start to attune to the movement of the life force energy around us. And we take a deep inhale, we're almost lost in this sensorial experience, feeling belonging to the oneness of all things, being part of this network where life moves through. And we progress deeper into the forest and soon arrive at a big, big waterfall. And we get close to this waterfall and reach a very big opening, like a deep cave into the earth. And we enter that cave. And now we progress deeper into the heart of the earth through a very spacious tunnel that gets created before our feet. We're not afraid, we're actually attuned, and that darkness informs us. It sharpens our senses, it makes us more present and alive. And we go deeper inside of this space, soon arriving at a beautiful plateau where darkness of the night has arrived. The whole sky is black peach, and there is a huge tapestry of stars and a full new moon in its center. The Milky Way is present, and all the galaxies are so alive. The sky is so clean that we're actually touching the stars. And we look upon a big white valley surrounded by beautiful red mountains. And in front of this valley, in its center, lies in a sacred geometry a very big stone altar. We're guided only by the moonlight, but everything is also talking to us. We're almost feeling like a wild animal, totally tuned to the night, totally connected to the earth, and deeply guided by the moon. We're soon going down through beautiful steps that get created from this peak of the plateau into the valley. And step by step, as we go down, we approach this labyrinthal sacred geometry in the center of the valley, feeling the energy intensifying. Taking a deep inhale, we soon arrive at this beautiful sacred place. And we enter it, allowing through our presence the energy of this sacred geometry to be activated, creating a portal between dimensions, giving us access to all the support of the divine while being here in the body. We have access to the present moment, navigating through time from the future to the past into the present. We have access here to our soul imprint and our soul legacy and all the ancestral and also divine knowledge and frequencies. The moon blesses this process, and she's our guide and aid into this beautiful co-creation. We soon arrive at the center of this geometry, sitting in front of the altar, who immediately ignites a sacred bluish, purplish fire, orangish fire, big fire on top of the altar. And we sit with that fire. We breathe with that fire. And from the fire, we call upon the beautiful goddess of love and compassion, Kuan Yin. From the Tibetan tradition, she steams in her beautiful white pink ribbons and dresses. She has 100 ribbons attached to her beautiful white dress. And she is so translucent, she actually is lifted from the ground, emerging from the fire and coming close to us, enveloping us in her beautiful energy of deep compassion. Our heart and the spaces, layers of our body melts in her presence and opens. Our heart becomes open and deeply touched by the medicine of compassion as she puts her hands on our head, channeling the pink hues and rays of deep compassion onto us, preparing ourselves and our body for meeting the beautiful inner virgin and wild woman within. We receive this beautiful, compassionate energy throughout our whole body and absorb it along with a gift or a message from her. We take a deep breath, letting this be absorbed, integrated. Let Virgin Mary hold the space for us, putting her energy next to us or in our back, holding us from behind. And then we look at the fire and we invite our beautiful inner virgin to emerge. This pure being whose energy is like a goddess, emerging from the fire and taking whatever shape and form she wants. She's pure, she's brave, She's focused and very, very pristine and beautiful. She sits tall and radiant, and she is deeply connected to the power of her vision and her virtues. We let her emerge from the fire and come to us in deep joy, activating this part within us. She comes with her beautiful sword because she's a warrioress. She fights for what she believes in all the way. And she wins through her commitment, her fearlessness, and her deep compassion. She comes close to us bearing gifts, teaching us about our greatness and our beauty. She approaches us and she's offering us a gift. We receive her gift and her energy and her space, knowing and sensing and feeling her presence. Take a deep inhale. Let her sit next to us, absorbing her space and looking at the fire and activating now the wild woman within. Stems from the fire like the goddess of pleasure and bountifulness, the space of deep fertility. She's so beautiful and potent and radiant and full of magnetism. She sits in deep ecstasy, in the pureness of the most joyful energy of love and ecstasy, of love and orgasm. And she brings so many gifts. She's the seat of fertility, and she's approaching us. She's beautiful, radiant, joyful, celebrating life. She's approaching us, offering all her gifts. That are our gifts and our virtues. And we absorb them, take them in. If we allow the wild woman in our life, what would become possible? What are her powers? Take a deep inhale and let her sit on our right. Bringing Virgin Mary in this triangle, in this space, blessing all of these aspects in ourselves one more time until the inner virgin and the wild woman melt, shapeshift into beautiful, very colorful rays of energy that we absorb into our heart and allow to move through our body, activating them in the heart, in the womb, in the forehead, and letting ourselves be totally enveloped throughout our whole body by their virtues and energy. We carry the seed of the inner virgin and the seed of the wild woman. Take a deep inhale. Mhm. Even moving the body if we feel the need to. Taking a deep inhale, we prepare to leave, paying gratitude to Kuan Yin, who returns into the sacred fire, leaving the sacred geometry and the altar behind, reconnecting to the galaxies and the stars and the new moon, the mystery of the night, and walking on the steps we came towards the plateau, taking a deep inhale and arriving at the plateau, moving through the beautiful cave and the tunnel into the green forest, through the beautiful trees, crossing the river, coming into the golden field, into the center of our heart. And here in the center of our heart, integrate through a deep inhale all the potent energies we've absorbed tonight. Take another deep inhale, slowly open our eyes, our body. Take another deep inhale. Fully open our eyes, stretch our body, and come back into the present moment. and share with me what's been unfolding through meeting your inner virgin and the wild woman. Felt I was solid as a rock. Yeah, that's the power of the virgin. A beautiful tapestry. I have never seen something so beautiful. Thank you. Felt truly alive, beautiful and insightful. A high vibration throughout my body, an empty gut in my stomach, a lot of inner strength, magnificent. I went all the way and it was truly wonderful. Good for you. At some point during the meditation, I found myself in a classroom and an older woman came in wearing a red suit and told me I'm here. Then I went back to follow the meditation. She was a guide, strong and sexy, full body engulfed in the energetic vibrations inside. I felt so wild and fully kissed and caressed by the wild woman within. That's so juicy. Happiness and peace, real energy in the body. The inner virgin told me I'm love and light. The wild one told me to be free and I'm now open to expansion. I was wearing a beautiful emerald green dress the whole time. It changed each time I enveloped each power. Shivers through my body. Wild woman gave me her knife to cut all the bonds with old wounds. Good. Energy in the feet. I couldn't concentrate. A lot of energy, yes. Harmony between different parts of me. Wild woman, a trophy, a hunt, a lion head, and pure and power and safety. Amazing realizing I really unlocked the softness of the virgin, the passion of the wild woman. Yes, that's a very deep space with the mature feminine archetype. They're paradoxical, so you have a lot of abundance in you all of a sudden because you can play with all these frequencies, right? And textures within, and you know yourself as very potent and fertile within, psychologically and energetically. It's really beautiful. So true. I feel the power of the wild woman. Things you were talking about, I felt them before you were verbalizing, especially the forehead and the womb. Yes, I was most of the time tracking the energy rather than saying it or picturing it. My gift was a cup, and the message was this will be filled in the days to come by mature and wise women that follow. Stronger. The inner girl is clairvoyant, and the white woman has an very known energy to me, vibrations throughout the body. I was given a veil and the ability to fully love my inner child. So beautiful, Sarah. This is so beautiful. Black Panther. I love that. So incredibly beautiful. I received gifts, a red crystal, red heart, and a bejeweled mirror that the inner virgin told to look into and see who I am. So powerful. Mm. I feel so far away from them. I saw them, but I couldn't connect with them. How do I connect with them? Well, I totally invite all of you to join me tomorrow live as we move forward with the Queen Mother and the Wise Woman. And tomorrow I'm going to share the depth of the feminine embodiment process. Sometimes for some of us, it takes a while for us to connect with these higher frequencies. It's all about the practice and the cultivation of the feminine energy within those archetypes, right? So don't worry if you didn't connect in a very sensorial way. The fact that they were there, you felt their presence, can be the step number one. And as you unfold into your feminine embodiment process and you feel inspired, you can take the feminine, the full feminine embodiment process, and move forward into a very deep and profound body of work that will allow you to, really engage with these virtues and shape shift inside of these virtues. This is just the tip of the icebergs, feeling them, sensing them, knowing that they're real, knowing the gifts that they're bringing you. And there's a whole path and a whole process to really embody those virtues, right? Because it is about the transformation and the evolution of our body, of our psyche, of our soul inside and through those virtues, right? Who are you becoming if you would really literally take all the gifts and the textures of a wild woman and become the wild woman, right? Full on, completely. I've been immersed in this relationship with the mature feminine archetypes for a while, a couple of years now, and I'm still learning. I'm still inspired. I'm still, they still come to me in meditation and tell me, this is the next level for you as a woman. This is, if you practice this virtue, this is what you're going to, unfold within your story as a woman. I've been totally immersed, for example, for a while now in the queen mother energy, more the queen than the mother, because, I started the mother energy full on when my baby got birthed, in terms of accessing it, because before then I was healing it. And a couple of, I think 1 year and a half ago, I started, working with them. I was in the mother energy, and all of a sudden I started working with the queen, and it just, unraveled so much about what's possible in self-love, right? And how to create a healthy environment of love, right, for the members of the family I'm holding space for, and seeing the members of the family rather than, all these dynamics we have with men, but rather than honor the space of the family with all the people included, right? My children, my partner, and how to hold space for that without feeling a martyr, without depleting myself, how to hold my self-worth for myself first and foremost, and then from that place nourish the dynamics I have or the relationships I have in my family. There's so much growth to occur and to emerge. And when we learn very beautiful, pleasurable practices and rituals that teach us how to sit with these feminine archetypes, then we do have a very clear blueprint, a very clear process of how to become them. So this is very, very potent. Wow, 100 messages. This is a very profound space. I've detached myself from complexes and feel a curiosity about what's emerging. So beautiful. Cold all the time in a stream of air, like a cold breeze on my forehead and hands. Had a heaviness on my chest, which got liberated when the wild one came in. It was intense. Thank you. So deeply powerful. I promise you I'll read everything in the chat log before going to bed. I deeply, with full honor, invite you to explore in our sacred circles what is the gift of the wild woman and the virgin, that's that you are exploring and tapping into through this activation. And I totally invite you to come tomorrow for a full-on immersion into the feminine embodiment process and the deep activation of the queen mother and the wise woman. I'll leave in the chat a little bit the link to the rite of passage in the mature feminine workshop, just to scroll through it until tomorrow. And if you have questions tomorrow, we'll talk about it. We'll officially open its doors, and you can definitely register if you feel guided and called to go further with me in this journey. It's totally my deep joy and honor to be in service of your magnificence and your beauty. And tomorrow we're also going to activate the Queen Mother and the Wise Woman, very potent, very high, mature and high vibrational archetypes. They're all connected to the spirit, and they're all centered around a spiritual evolution and caring and nurturing the world, from the family to the community and then the whole world. And this is where we're stepping into our power fully and becoming a channel, right? So we're stepping into a lot of magnificence and greatness and power and creativity and self-expression and deep fertility, because they're both plugged into the abundance of the universe. So make sure you're live tomorrow, because it's going to be a very important day. And we're going to come full circle with all the 4 archetypes. And on Sunday, we're going to understand through a guided practice how much we've progressed through this beautiful journeying together. Thank you so much for this very pure space, for your beautiful and committed space and feminine energy. I love you. You are magnificent. I'll see you tomorrow.